Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Mega Man Quintum. Today we're gonna take on Jupiter, mainly because it's a good stage to show off the weapon we just acquired, and also it will give us one of the best weapons in the game, which I can't wait to completely and utterly abuse in the next video. Jupiter looks pretty cool, and his stage is also very nice actually. I really love it. It has an incredible amount of small touches and details. First starting with this is what Starman's stage should have been. Low gravity for everything, and as you can see even the pickups follow that rule because this game is fantastically programmed. These guys on the other hand are kind of a pain in the ass because, yeah, well, they just stand around and you cannot hit them while they're charging, and they will always start charging immediately. These guys are dicks, by the way, even in low gravity. And they just tend to take up a lot of time, but this is what I got Pluto for after all. You can fire it normally, it will not take any weapon energy, very convenient, and you get invincibility frames after using it, no matter what happens. Usually get knocked out of it when you hit an invincible enemy like these guys, so we cannot just go through and kill them this way. What we can do, however, is just avoid any and all confrontation with them, which saves quite a lot of time, as you might have seen. It is just an incredibly good weapon, however, it is also really hard to actually use in my opinion. So you're not gonna see me abuse it as much as it probably could be abused, but you can imagine a lot of situations, and as always I strongly encourage you to play the game for yourself and find out opportunities to use it. To show off Mercury a little more, because it's actually really good in killing these guys in 2 shots quickly, and this bubble here, I always get hit by it at the start. It's really annoying in my opinion, because I'm so bad at bouncing enemies and the screen size really doesn't help here. Not that it's in any way fault for that, it's just the way the enemy is designed. And what Break Dash can also do is, well, break walls very obviously. And again with Bro's help, and now we get the super pellet I was waiting for all this time, because for some reason, and I strongly do not support that as a constant user of special weapons of course, between stages we do not get a refill. That was the same case in Quantum because we technically were inside of Wily's Fortress all along in the final stages there, and now we are in space, so yes, I guess it makes sense. It doesn't mean that it's a good idea in my opinion. And we're outside now again with the low gravity, which is again a really cool concept, and I really like it. Mars again, pretty good if you can shoot it off twice at once, though again Mercury is probably better at this because you can rapid fire it. It just takes up a lot of weapon energy. It will however also heal you, so that's fair I guess. Yeah. What also is really neat is that Neptune gets influenced by the low gravity too. Of course it does, because this game, as said, is incredibly well programmed, but it is still little going above and beyond the Call of Duty, I would say. It is really nice that they thought even of that. Or rather, they made it so that everything that flies out in any way is very well done in that aspect. So this bubble, or bouncing guy I guess, he doesn't reach the entrance of the room. So he is actually far easier, which is kind of surprising considering that the very first time you see one, he will probably hit you. It's a little strange, and I did notice in the past too that Minakuchi kind of has a little problem with in-game difficulty curve. Much like I have problems hitting this guy, it works, it does, a little. And but it's not too big of an issue, certainly not as big as it was in Tertium sometimes. So yeah, you can get all of these items just by grabbing them with the Buster, which is of course incredibly neat, and kind of invalidates the weapon you would obviously normally have to use to get them, but yeah, well, them's the breaks. We also get introduced to another gimmick for the stage here, which are ice physics, which is I guess kind of pointless, but it's not too big of a deal. It's just a little oversaturating the stage, I'd say. But we kind of need that for the boss fight, as we're going to see there. Otherwise, this middle part is just a little fillery and not really necessary in my opinion. What is nice, however, is here that we get it with both physics effects applied at once. Pretty neat, though again, as you're jumping around constantly because of the low gravity, the ice completely loses, if you excuse the pun, traction. What's also really interesting here, and I do not really show it off, is that the guys who create the stones when they hit the floor, this will of course cause the stones to bounce up higher, or rather we saw it before, I didn't mention it, which is also incredibly neat. Again with where we, whoops, bad dodge, where we would need another weapon to open this up at the sides, but of course again an opportunity for us to just completely break it. By the way, also you might have noticed that this is an optional path. This also kind of explains why we went just in a dead end up there. And I went up and could have gone right. Well, now I cannot go right anymore. And we got surprise spikes here, fuck that. Die to these also in a test recording, because I'm bad, maybe. And these two, fuck it, hate them again, sorry. But yeah, this is a path you have to take if you want to get this little beauty here. Well, and we obviously need another weapon for it again, as in many cases in this area. Just to get down here. Not. Obviously. Grab Buster is just really, really useful, though it's not the Grab Buster. Mercury's weapon is the Grab Buster. It's called the Clawhead, maybe. This room is where we would have ended up if we just had went right immediately at the path split. So there are two of the exact same rooms at different elevations, and at the end of each of them is going to be a boss door. This is not a Mega Man 6 situation, it's just the way it is, and I'm not going to think about it too much. These are pretty lucky shots with Mars. I wouldn't call Mars a particularly good weapon. As said, it loses out, I think, in comparison with Mercury, and in direct comparison, and in comparison to all of the other weapons, it's still not particularly good. This last guy is also really hard to dodge, but fortunately Mercury gives back health, so fuck it. Also, you probably should not get hit ever by Jupiter. He's one of the easiest bosses, period. He shoots this, is invincible, shoots down. This is the only attack which will probably hit you because it surprises you at the start, and then you just learn to go into the opposite corner, and then he swoops down. I think the idea behind the boss is that you want to dodge his spread shot by standing under him, meaning that first you cannot stand under him, then you have to stand under him, then you cannot stand under him, making you just constantly slide around on the ice. What they kind of forgot here is that for once the screen size is big enough that you can't just dodge him by hanging out in a corner, which completely invalidates the boss. So, that's kind of strange. I mean, I'm not big into breaking bosses, you know, but it's just everything I'm doing here is perfectly normal, and yeah, well, finishing him off with style. It's just really boring if you do it like this. I might consider doing it sometime just for fun, for my own personal enjoyment, I guess. Trying to do it the normal way, but this is still, it's far, far, far better to do it the way I do. And I'm really surprised that they didn't get this very obvious strategy. But I'm not too concerned. Jupiter is actually one of the four bosses who is weak to a weapon of the first spiral, which is actually Bubble Bomb, because of course he hangs out on the ceiling. And this nets us an incredibly strong weapon. We're going to see just how strong it is next time, of course. But before that, we're actually going to have a little interruption here. Because after all, we picked up a shiny. And for some reason Mega can just waltz back into the lab and then back up into the planets, which kind of invalidates the argument that he's now far away from home and can therefore no longer refill his weapon energy between stages. But details, right? Reduce the energy consumption of your special weapons. I am so on board with that. I'm really going to look out for these things now, really, really closely. But again, as said in the last video, we cannot get the one from Pluto the first time we visit there without the weapon we this time actually slightly circumvented, so we were going to have to wait a little for that. For now, thank you very much for your attention.